Welcome to Talking TSM, the Game House's talk show about TSM's LCS team. I'm Robert Haynes, your host and your guide into the world of TSM's LCS team. And boy, am I excited to be back. It has been pretty crazy the last couple of weeks. Between COVID and an unfortunate, death in the family, it's just been very busy and very, a lot of things happening that have kept me from being able to record. But, I was not going to miss this week. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting. Since what, like late October, so almost 3 months now without seeing this main roster. And we also waited all off season because we were the last team essentially to finalize their roster. So to say that I am excited about today would be an understatement. And even going into this weekend, and there's a lot that we have to go over, but I want to thank you all for sticking with me through all this. Reminder, if you're ever wondering, hey, why where'd Robert go? Why is there no show this week, or whatever? Please seriously go follow me on Twitter at TGH Robert Haynes. That is the easiest way to find out what is happening with this show. I will always update you guys. There's never going to be a time where I'm not gonna have an update on what's going on with the show, who's coming, all that kind of stuff. So if you want the most up-to-date news on, any potential breaks or anything like that, that's where you'll find it. We're likely not going to have any breaks for a while, to be completely honest with you guys. I expect to be able to get this show out twice a week. I am going to do my best to commit to that, Monday and Thursdays. Monday, we'll do recaps of the weekend. We'll talk, probably be a little bit of a shorter show in comparison to, taking a look at Thursday shows where we will preview the weekend. And we've got, 8 weeks of action coming up, very, very quickly here with the LCS coming back in. For those of you who don't know, the LEC is already, I think this is going to be week 3 for them, week 3 or 4. We lost some time to the lockout or lock-in, not the lockout, lock-in. Baseball's in a lockout. LCS is in a lock-in. And so, we just finished that up. Congrats to TL for sweeping Evil Geniuses, who I thought, kind of had it in the bag, to be honest. But Bjergsen, we miss you, boy. He went in and just said, nah, I got this, guys. Don't worry about it. So it's interesting, to say the least, to see him winning elsewhere, especially considering it's his first tournament, back. But that's okay. We've got our own things to be excited about. Unfortunately, though, I got to lead off the show with the only truly negative-ish sad news. Parth, our beloved TSM Parth, is leaving, and this comes with him helping us directly win 4 championships. Now, it was interesting. I was going through and, I was trying to remember, what all did we do, with him, and, with Parth as directly as a head coach, okay, as a head coach, we won our last 4 championships, okay? The last 4 being 2016 summer, 2017 spring, 2017 summer, and then 2020 summer. If you remember, he stepped in as the head coach, in the 2020 summer. And yeah, it's crazy, that after all this time, he's leaving. And apparently, he had kind of let everybody know that he was considering leaving a while ago. And he also won 2017 Rift Rivals. Sorry, I should do this first. 2017 Rift Rivals, which was, I believe, one of the only Rift Rivals wins for the LCS. I think maybe Echo Fox or somebody might have done one too, but I hope they bring back Rift Rivals like soon. Like, it was such a fun tournament. Multiple top three finishes, even while as a general manager, multiple Worlds appearances, but struggled internationally as well. Every NA team has, but TSM was always the hope, and then sadly they never made it out of groups. So, eh, you know, not ideal. And he leaves a massive hole to fill, and it's interesting because according to the video that TSM released, Parth was apparently considering leaving. I think once the whole Bjergsen stuff fell through, it didn't sound like he was deciding to leave maybe before then, but it's interesting because from what I had heard, Parth went straight to I believe it was China or Korea, I don't know which one, along with Peter Zhang, to start scouting for new players. No, I'm going to assume it's China because that's ultimately where they drew most of their players from, with Kaido and Shenyi. But, for me, I just assumed that, Parth was the one stable portion of this organization for us in terms of the LCS, right? And, there's just, it's going to be such a hard role for us to fill. And according to Dominic Callis, who I interviewed just a couple weeks ago, you can go to the Gamehouse YouTube channel and check that out. Great interview, and he's on an interview train right now. He's interviewing. I know he did one with Germ recently. He's done a few other ones across different platforms as well. So go check it out. Go hear what he has to say. I've listened to a couple of them. And listen, guys, everything that I'm hearing is this is the guy to help establish good things for TSM. So, and he even said in the video that, he was trying to keep Parth. He didn't want Parth to leave. And it just shows, how good of a job Parth has done. But I think Parth must feel like, with this new era that it's time for him to go. And so, Parth, man, we wish you the best. You were freaking awesome for us, multiple times over, and yeah, it's going to be a massive hole to fill, and apparently, according to Dominic, like they have already got, a person ready to take over. Now he had said assistant general manager, so I don't know if they're going to get bumped up to general manager or if they're going to, keep them as assistant for now and then, hire somebody over the summer or what that's going to look like. It sounds like, they've been preparing for Parth to leave for a little while now. And according to Dominic and Parth, Parth is still going to be consulting and helping out with anything that Dominic needs to get, this team off the ground. It sounds like almost like Dominic's going to take over as general manager for now. And then, somebody's going to move into that assistant GM / GM position, which, in my interview with him, he was very specific about the fact that, he will step in, he'll help, but he wants general managers to run each esport specifically. He wants there to be, that difference, those levels of management, basically. So, yeah, this is a very it's an interesting move, especially considering, he announces it just a few days before the spring split starts. It's just another thing where I look at this and I go, God, I hope Spica's not leaving because, every person that he's really cared about in terms of just TSM, other than pretty much Huni at this point, has left. It is all brand new for him now. Parth was kind of the last one who was very close with him. From what I can tell, maybe Kaze is super close, or Peter Zhang, I guess, probably too. But at least for the big names, right? The Parths, the Double Ifs, the Bjergsens, probably even the Linas, right? Like they're all gone. They're all gone. Even Myth, maybe to a certain degree. They're gone. And it's interesting. It's clear that TSM have a lot of work to do. Luckily, they go out, they win an Apex Legends at ALGS 1 this year. So that was huge. I think, first championship under Dominic's belt, and, first championship for TSM in 2022. Hopefully not the last. They just announced their new Valorant team, brought in some very interesting players, to say the least. So, it's interesting. Like, this team's going in a different direction, and I wonder if Spica sees himself as part of that or not. I think they're doing everything they can to keep him there, and I'm sorry. Like, this will hopefully be the last time for a while that I have to bring this up. I really don't want to, but when you see, even recently that Parth and, Spica were together and, doing like Q&A and having fun together. Like, I wonder. But luckily, he's got Tactical, his like best friend in the LCS. He's a very big believer in Huni. He has come out and directly said that people are just consistently underrating Huni. So, to me, that means that Spica's confident in this team and players, and we'll get into some of the other things that Spica has said more recently. But with that, let's just take a quick look at the starting lineup. We've got this will be the first time that we can go through this, right? I think it's a good time to transition from the sad to the happy, right? So for those of you who may not know, TSM have 2 new players straight out of China's LDL, basically the academy system for the LPL, and it's 17 teams. And both Kaido and Shenyi are here. Like, they are in the building at TSM for the last couple weeks, getting used to their teammates, getting used to playing together, getting used to speaking English, streaming. Both of them have been streaming, right? And it seems to me, at least from what it sounded like, Dominic had told me they should be ready to roll, day 1 of the regular season, which is why, we just had to watch the academy team sadly flounder to a certain degree in the lock-in tournament. And so it must mean that their visas are good to go. So, we got Huni in the top lane coming back for his second year. If you had asked me last year who was the most likely player to not be on the team in 2022 from that starting roster, I would have told you Huni. But he's here, and I'm happy about it. I think he's such an entertaining individual. I think, everybody loves him. He played really, really well for us. He seems to fit the style that we're going for, and he's a hard worker, man. So I'm happy about this. I think he's gonna help bring some energy, stability, and a veteran mindset to this team. And he's also good friends with Spica. So obviously, Jungle, Spica, MVP of 2020's regular season. Obviously, I'm sure disappointed that he didn't make it to Worlds last year. And there's not much else to say. I think, a lot of games are going to come down to, if things maybe aren't going as well as we'd like to in lanes, can Spica make plays for us? Can Spica go and be aggressive? And apparently last year's team, specifically with Power of Evil, was not one that, was conducive for his play style, which I completely agree with that. I think it was very apparent. There were games where it felt like Spica was absent and maybe he was trying to call for plays, but they were saying no in both lanes. And I think, Sword Art to a certain degree too. Sword Art, I think, is a little less aggressive than we would have expected. Again, the very first game of the season last year, 9 towers, no kills, and we lost the game to Jose Deodo and FlyQuest. Like, just a weird game. I don't know if I'll ever forget that one. But, our boy Speak is back, and we're going to enjoy him this year. Hopefully he stays, and signs a contract extension at some point. Hopefully, I think it's going to come down to, this team and how they perform and how he feels the future is going to be for them. But, yeah. And then we got Kaido, who's, man, it's really interesting. So, he comes to NA. after being signed, and a lot of people questioning this decision, right? Like, how good is he really? What is going on? Like, how, why would they pick him? Like, he's 21 years old, and he wasn't even in the LPL. As a reminder, again, he literally only had 2 years of professional experience. I think he got started playing just a little bit later than everybody else, but I digress. There are fair questions, I believe, about this kid, and the crazy thing is he's come in and his streams have been popping off. I mean, if you have not been watching them, he is insane. He had a LeBlanc game where he like almost essentially solo carried his team from the absolute depths. Where I mean, he was just making play after play, and he's screaming, and you can tell he's starting to learn English, and understanding the situations that it goes in. He's like using different swears and different things like that. No surprise that those are some of the things that he's learned, but you even have like Speaka in the background of his streams, kind of like supporting him and watching him, and this kid plays like anything. Like, we already knew that he had a lot of versatility, but I really believe that the analysis that I've made a little bit, and a lot of other people have made, I think, a little bit more extensively, where he was being held back by the constraints of his teammates to a certain degree, and just trying to play what he thought would help them. I don't think he's going to be that on this team. I think this kid is going to come out here and absolutely just... I think he's going to play to win lane. I think he's going to play to be aggressive. And I think... I don't know. I mean, he's probably going to be nervous, I'm sure, this weekend, especially going up against who he's going up in the first game. But this kid might be really good. I mean, he might be really good in the LCS. And it looks like he's having fun. And he just looks like another great personality, I mean, he kind of... I don't know. He kind of reminds me of, like the smack talking of Speaka with the energy of Huni to a certain degree. And maybe even a little bit of Broken Blade in terms of, like... I think this guy is going to be all over TSM Legends. I think he's going to just thrive in the spotlight. And it's like, I say that he might be nervous in game one. He might not be, because he might honestly just, like, he might just be, I don't know, like, might just have nerves of steel. Like, he might just not care, He might just be like, I don't, there's no spotlight too big for me. Shout out to my Bengals. That's the Joe Burrow mentality, man. That kid, that guy is just like, I don't care. I'm just going out here and I'm coming out here to win. I don't think Kaido is going to have the effect of Joe Burrow on TSM, but I think there's the possibility he might have that mindset of, where he has the fortitude to just be like, I don't really care. So I'm just going to go out and help my team win. So I am very intrigued by him. To say the least. Then we got our boy Tactical, who, I mean, guys, let's be honest here. I think there are so many people underrating him. I really, truly do. I think he's probably a top 3 bot laner. I know he's not going to have Core JJ, but, like, whatever. I think he learned a lot from Core. I think he's ready to do his own thing, and I think... with this duo of Shinyi, who I think Shinyi is going to be a beast. Maybe not right out the gate, but I do believe that once these two have their communications down, and once they know, each other's mannerisms and the, what they can do, and what they can't do, in terms of different matchups and whatnot. Excuse me. These two could be very interesting. And I think that Tactical is like been waiting for a team that just hits the go button. And this team is likely going to hit the go button, guys. I think Shinyi and Kaido, coming over from the LPL style of play where it is aggression all the time. We fight over, Raptor camps. We fight over Gromps, right? We fight over buffs. We fight over wards, right? We fight until we can't fight anymore, or we win, right? I think that this style is going to suit them. I think Spica wants that. I think Tactical wants that. I think Hooney's always wanted that. And I think Hooney's thrived more in aggressive teams as well. And I think when they need to play passive, right, when they need to play maybe late game scaling, I think they'll be able to do it and take that aggression into, more less disadvantageous possibilities. Whereas I think you give tactical a champion that can jump in, right. You give Shinyi somebody like a Leona, right? Like I think that they're gonna be aggressive. And Shinyi, by the way, like giving him a quick second, like I did everybody else. I really truly believe that there's a chance that this kid could be the next like great LCS support. There's not many, it's basically, Core and Vulcan right now that I think are just the very clear top two. And then I think, Biofrost has looked pretty solid actually. And Destiny, I think, is being held back by the rest of his team to a certain degree. I think Aframu is still pretty solid as well. Obviously, Huhi. But, I think that Shinyi could push for that top 3 spot. And, if this bot lane can become what I think they could be one of the strongest points of a team that could be very, very strong going forward. So there's your starting lineup. Honi, Spica, Kaido, Tactical, and Shinyi. I'm just excited. I'm just excited to see them play, regardless of the results. Unless if they just get absolutely, stomped. I think it's going to be a really fun year. I'm very excited to see the different TSM legends and see kind of what comes out from that. But it's going to be interesting. With that, let's head into week 1. So we play the very first game of the year again. We played the first game of the lock-in, even with the academy team. And now we're playing the first game of week 1 of the LCS. Us, TSM versus Evil Geniuses. So I'm trying a new system. I used to do just a couple points and, where, it just kind of things to watch for and stuff. I'm going to try advantages and disadvantages. Now, every week, I'm going to try to come up with 3. Guys, I'm going to be completely honest with you. Against Evil Geniuses, I struggled a little bit to come up with 3. And they may not even be completely advantages for us, but, until we see this team play together, it's really hard to, kind of say much other than, the fact that I've seen Evil Geniuses play. They've played like 10, 15 games, something like that. So it's easier for me to, kind of just compare what I see from them and what I hope that we can take away from them. So forgive me, at least, especially for this week, because until, TSM actually play, we're just not going to know. So here's what I got right now for advantages. First time playing us. Listen, this is the first game of the season. It's the first time that this TSM team will play together, and there are times when that's actually an advantage because the opposing team may not really know how to respond. They may not know how to react to what we are doing, right? And they won't have laned against, Kaido and a Shinyi tactical bot lane. The two knowns to a certain degree are going to be, Spica and Huni, and obviously Huni Impact have gone back and forth for years, so they're going to know the lanes against each other pretty well. Inspired coming over, obviously it's going to be his first time facing Spica, so while Spica may be known, that matchup may not be as well known. So, taking advantage of the unknown, I think, is going to be an important aspect for us. We need to embrace it. I would even bring out maybe some pocket picks for Kaido and Shinyi, just to, not that Shinyi's pocket picks are really going to probably be anything that's like super surprising, at least not right away, unless if he like knows Pike really well too or something like that, becomes like Hillisang, running around. But at least for Kaido and TSM, like embrace the unknown. Embrace the fact that they don't know you, and even like with somebody like Jojo Pion, right, who you just haven't faced before. Don't do anything other than just play your game and understand that I'm sure they haven't been scrimming this week once they figured out who they were playing, and maybe they've learned some things in scrims against some of these other teams that that Evil Geniuses doesn't know about them. So with less scouting reports and everything like that, just take advantage of being the first time playing against them. Second thing is, I think that we can match their aggression. Evil Geniuses are a super aggressive team from top to bottom, right? They have, for those of you who don't know, it's Impact in the top lane. They brought over MVP of the summer split Inspired from Rogue, absolute beast. They got Jojo Pion, the most exciting true NA prospect in many, many, many years. A kid who will probably anchor the mid lane for at least some team, likely Evil Geniuses, for the foreseeable future. They've got, Rookie of the Year Danny, who came up and obviously surprised everybody, and was absolutely outstanding, coming straight from amateur to the main squad. And then they've got Vulcan, who's came over from C9. He has a chip on his shoulder. He's wanting to win badly, and again, he's at least the second best support in the league. He's an absolute beast. So, I mean, this is a juggernaut of a squad, and they love to get in there and fight. And I think if there's a team in the LCS that can match their aggression, not like, rebuttal it like TL did, but more like, hey, we can go toe to toe with your level of aggression. I think that's us. And I think that, for some teams, that can take, that can catch them off guard. And I do think that that's a very important aspect of playing League of Legends, right? Or really doing anything is when the aggressor is matched with aggression, whether it's in war or video games or, just a simple street fight or whatever, like that can be scary, right? And so I think, if TSM should not, take their foot off the pedal, take their foot off the gas, like just go, right? And push them to their limit. And yeah, they're gonna make mistakes. Like TSM is guaranteed to make mistakes, but I think if they can push Evil Geniuses and put them into compromised positions, right, that they can overtake some of those areas. They're not going to be able to beat Evil Geniuses the same way that TL did, with calm, cool heads, good calls, great map awareness, all that jazz. Like that's just not going to happen. Like TL is a completely different type of squad. They are full of 5 incredibly decorated veterans that understand the game pretty much at the exact same level. So with a brand new squad like this, you just got to come out firing, and I hope that they do, because I think that could be a huge advantage for us. The last thing is, I think that our draft is going to be focused on laning, to be honest. I don't think we're going to be looking as much at team fighting, because I don't think that team fighting is definitely not going to be an advantage for us right now. Spica specifically said that their communication is just not there yet. It's going to take them some time to kind of figure that aspect of the game out. But that's fine. We've seen what Huni can do in lane. We've seen what Tactical can do with an aggressive, winning lane. And we've seen specifically what Kaido can do in his streams when he is just focused on his lane. I think because of that, I think Spica is going to be the one who's going to just kind of have to bite the bullet for now. And I think, maybe even Shinyi, I think they might go, jungle support very, very early in the draft and try to get counter picks for, their 2 solo laners in their bot lane to a certain degree. We'll see really, kind of how the meta is shaping out. Apparently the LEC is playing with Zeri this week. I don't know if that's going to be the same case for the LCS or not. I haven't heard yet. I doubt it. I think they would have announced it by now. But, they if TSM want to win, I do think that that's the best strategy. I don't think you should be playing for late game scaling team fighting. I just don't see that being a way for this team to win early on. I think that they're either going to be they're either going to be all in and pulling off big plays individually. We might even see a couple solo kills from our boys, or they're not going to be able to do anything, and they're going to try to do these solo lanes, and then they're going to get stomped by good team fighting and good map awareness and control. So I kind of hope that they draft for lanes. I think that would be a great advantage for them. I think it's where you take your advantages when you're a young, new upstart team. I think that's like you got to take every advantage you can, right? And if you pick advantageous matchups for at least Huni and Kaido, then at least you give them a chance to potentially, get fed enough to potentially just straight up carry the game. And I think that both of them can do that depending on what champion they're playing. Top lane, not as much, but Renekton is available. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see TSM, take that from Impact and allow for Huni to play it. I know it wasn't necessarily his best champion last year, but it's clearly one that I think can be a menace enough in the top lane for them to be, I don't know, in a good spot. I could also see them giving him Jace very early on as well. We know that he can carry with Jace. He's done it plenty of times for us, so that wouldn't surprise me either. And then for Kaido, I could see Vex or LeBlanc. I doubt, maybe Victor, I guess, maybe. It wouldn't also surprise me. This one is just a totally out there pick, and it's really going to depend on how Spica feels with Kaido, but I would love to see the Diana Yasuo. I think that would be super fun, honestly, from the two of them. So, just don't give me something like Corki or Azir. Like, let this kid try to shine, and if he fails, then whatever. At least he tried. So, anyways, moving on. Disadvantages for Evil Geniuses in week 1. They had a great lock-in, guys. I was like, this is a top 3 team for me. I think, I think people were sleeping on them a little bit, including myself. But I really figured they just needed time to come together, once they kind of, figured out how JoJo played and everything else, bringing in Inspired. It's really just Impact and Danny who are staying from last year's squad. That doesn't seem to matter, guys. This team looked really good. Yeah, they lost the finals to 5 again veteran, very good players who understand how to play in certain situations. They know how to play when down. They know how to play when up. They know how to close out games. And I expect that for a team that's just coming up. That's just coming together. And I mean, it's basically like an all-star team, right? That has been practicing together and is actually going to be good. So, TL are going to be solid. But Evil Geniuses did not lose a game, and did beat TL in their best of 1 up until the finals. This team is already beyond where I expected them to be now. I think they are absolutely a title contender. Not just this split, but for the future. And I hope that they have a lot of success. Not against us, but just as an NA fan in general, I can tell you that I will be rooting very hard for Evil Geniuses in any game that they don't play against us, because I think that team looks absolutely incredible. I mean, they're going to be so much fun. I mean, they have the 2 best young NA talents in the league right now. I don't consider Spica technically I guess Spica would be up there too technically. He's young NA talent. So, okay. Apologies. They're 2 of 3. I do see Spica as, being more valuable or a little higher than Danny personally. But, JoJo and Danny they're both like in their teens. They both are already exceeding expectations. JoJo is able to clearly match basically anybody in the league already. He's afraid of nobody. I guess he would be the closest thing to a Joe Burrow in the league right now. If I'm again, sorry guys, very excited as a Bengals fan that they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm not, I'm not even gonna apologize for it. Not gonna apologize for it. Very excited. But again, getting back to the LCS, this Evil Geniuses team is ready to go now. They're not ready to go in a couple weeks into the LCS after they've played some games. I would have loved for it to have been that way, where they looked good in the lock-in, but they still had a lot of things that they really, really need to fix. And they got plenty of things that they need to fix. But I mean, they looked super vulnerable at times. Really, I just think it was that they ran into a team that just knows how to win. This Evil Geniuses team is insanely good, and I think that the lock-in gave them the confidence that they needed to move into this season and have their eyes on the prize. The other disadvantages is just Vulcan, man. It's nothing against Shenyi. I think Shenyi's going to be solid. I think we are technically at a disadvantage in every position except for jungle. I think at least Speak and Inspired are probably about even. I do think very highly of Inspired as well. But I think Impact, depending on the day and depending on the champion, can be a little bit better than Huni. I think Kaido is not going to be as well. I don't know. He might be a little bit worse than JoJo. We'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that one. And then I see Tactical and Danny as maybe Tactical just a little bit worse than Danny, just because of having a new lane partner. I would say the only true advantage, one that I look at Evil Geniuses and I say, okay, this is 100% a positional advantage, is going to be Vulcan over Shenyi to start. I think Shenyi can get up there, and it's going to be really interesting because when you look at this team, right, as excited as I am for Evil Geniuses, I can't say just because we haven't seen TSM play together yet, there's a chance that we can match them position to position, which is why I want them to focus on the laning aspect of it. They're gonna beat us in team fighting, guys, and Vulcan's gonna be a major reason why. He's a huge voice. He's got a ton of experience, right? And he's played with winning teams every single year that he has been in the LCS. Even when he was with Clutch Gaming, he helped lead that team to Worlds, if I remember correctly, against us, right? Then he goes to C9 in that in that huge buyout and was just an absolute beast for them for the last 2 years. And now he comes over to Evil Geniuses with a chip on his shoulder and a lot of experience to back him up. And so, I just don't think that Shenyi is going to have that communication, obviously, with Tactical. I don't think that he's going to be able to roam around the map and make the plays necessarily that the team needs right away. I think that Vulcan's their major advantage right now. Again, I think at every other position, I think we're close. I don't know that we're better necessarily at any position other than maybe jungle. And even that one, I think, is kind of a break even, to be completely honest. Literally the two MVPs from LCS and LEC last year. But when you look at top, mid, and bot, AD carry specifically, I think we're about even. Maybe Kaido is probably worse than JoJo, but we'll see. We haven't seen him play. It's gonna be interesting. And Danny's the new Tactical, right? Tactical was what Danny is before Danny was, and again, Huni and Impact, I think, have gone blow for probably 30 games in their career or something like that. So, yeah, this is going to be a really interesting litmus test for us. Are we going to be able to push the limit and show hey, by the way, we're here. Yeah, maybe we lose, but we can go toe to toe with Evil Geniuses. That would scare the LCS, by the way. That would scare the LCS in a very very, very major way, if you ask me. And the last disadvantage is obviously going to be team fighting 100%, and I think individual play to a certain degree, right? I do think that every one of these players has, top level experience on Evil Geniuses. Even with Danny only having one split, he had one split plus, the playoffs, right? Vulcan, Impact, both have been to Worlds multiple times. Impact has won a freaking World Championship. inspired. Has a full year under his belt. Went to Worlds, played pretty well too. So, guys, it's going to be tough. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it with you. I think this is going to be a lot tougher than I think most LCS or most TSM fans would like to admit. I am going to predict us to lose this game, unfortunately. As much as I would love for us to come out and smack them upside the head and be like, hey, we're here and we're ready to roll now, I just don't think we're there yet. We'll see. Right? This is going to be our first game to see them in action. And I'll tell you this much. If they can pull off an upset over Evil Geniuses, then we're going to be talking about a team that, unless if it's a fluke kind of win, right? Just like, Evil Geniuses forgets how to play or it's a massive draft gap, right? I think that, I think that the rest of the LCS would be very scared of us, and they should be regardless, but, maybe a little earlier than they had initially hoped for us to, be getting online. Maybe we pull an Evil Geniuses in the lock-in and surprise everybody and, smash the first couple of weeks. We'll see. I don't know. But for right now, I will tell you this much. Evil Geniuses are a top-tier team, like, guaranteed. There is no sugarcoating that. They should be better than us, at least as of right now. Time will tell, if that will continue to be the case. But they are a very strong team, and we're just going to have to hope and see what the draft does. It'll also be Chawi's first draft, so maybe he can pull a rabbit out of his hat. We'll have to see. If he gets that coach advantage, oh boy, that will be fun. Moving on, Dignitas. This is on Sunday at also 4:30 Eastern, by the way. So 1:30 Pacific. So we get to play at the same time both days. That's actually kind of a good thing. That means that they, get a full 24 hours and, mentally when you play like one day early and then the next day you play late at night, it's going to feel like you haven't played, in forever. So good for us. That's ideal. So we're the second game, by the way, on Sunday. And, here's the deal, advantage-wise. I think we have a massive advantage in the solo lanes. I think Huni is much, much, much better than Fake God. Although, by the way, this Dignitas team did surprise in the LCS lock-in. They knocked out, 100 Thieves. They played well. I'm not going to take that away from them. I do think that they are maybe going to surprise some people. We'll talk about Jat's power rankings here in a little bit. He had them at 5th. I'm truly shocked by that, but we'll see. I don't know. Dignitas seems to be great in the spring and terrible in the summer, so maybe it's just that they take advantage of when other teams aren't at their best. I don't know, but regardless, Huni, again, massive advantage for me in the top lane. And I think Kaido is a very big advantage in the mid lane. Listen, Blue played well. He got some solo kills, whatever. I watched Blue play all year last year for SK. He just doesn't impress me. Even in some of his games, like, he's very bannable. I think you could legitimately ban, like Zoe and I forget what the other one was. Maybe it was LeBlanc. I can't remember. I'd have to look again. But you can potentially even ban him out, and I think that TSM get, a massive advantage. And I think that they should play for their solo lanes, no doubt in my mind. Like, if tacticals alone for most of this game, it would not surprise me whatsoever, because I think Huni and Kaido can probably just carry us to victory in this one. And I think the next advantage is very clearly our aggression. Listen, Dignitas, again, they were more aggressive this, during the lock-in than they were last year during the summer split, but they're not ready for this kind of aggression. River might be the only player who is ready. I don't really see a world where they're going to be able to match our aggression in every lane, in every phase of the game that I expect us to have. Now, I could be wrong, by the way. We could be a team that just sits back and scales. I hope not. I don't think that's why you go out and sign two Chinese players where, in a world where all they've ever known is aggression. I don't know why you would not play to their strengths, and that would just be surprising to me, but you know, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of some reason why that would work. I can't. So I think aggression has to be an advantage for us. Continuing on, versatility as well. I really do think that Fake God specifically and Blue. I just think that they lack versatility. They lack a deep champion pool that's great. Like, they can play multiple champions, but being good or great at a lot of different champions is not their forte. Whereas when you look at Huni, Spica, Kaido, and even Tactical, they play a lot of different styles of champions. They play consistently a lot of just different champions based on what the team needs. And I think that has to be an advantage for us. It's going to allow our draft, I think, to go maybe a little differently than everybody might have thought, right? This would be, in my opinion, a time for TSM to focus ban Blue, maybe Fake God. It's up to the team. And then pick early strong picks for both solo lanes, or at least one of them, and give the other one counter pick. You could also very easily go an early, aggressive, winning type lane for the bot lane too. I wouldn't suggest it, but they could do that. By the way, sorry, I probably should point this out. The starting lineup as of right now for Dignitas is Fake God in the top lane. River, yes, that same River who came over from PSG Talent to make some money and maybe win some games, right? Has joined Dignitas. Blue, the SK Gaming mid laner, who I still think everybody is shocked by that signing. Neo, who is truly one of I think the better AD carries in the LCS. Honestly, has a lot of very strong AD carries. In my opinion, I think that there are maybe a couple that are weaker, but generally speaking, Tactical's going to be going up against two of maybe the top 5 AD carries in the league right now. And, listen, like Neo was very, very good last year. Regardless of what anybody tells you, regardless of how Dignitas finished, that man still played very well, and he played extremely well during the lock-in too. So, he's a beast. And then our old buddy Daddy Biofrost, he looked way better than I expected him to. He took a full year off, but he doesn't look like he lost a step. So that is their starting lineup. Oof, sorry. Almost had to sneeze there. But yeah, I real quickly want to go into Blue's champion pool, by the way. Syndra, Azir, LeBlanc, Ryze. I mean, pretty straightforward. He plays some Victor, some Orianna. He's not a great Sylas. Like, I don't know. I mean, a lot of these wins and stuff are from his time with in the Turkish league. With SK Gaming, he was okay. They went 8-10 in the first split. Played not great, honestly, in the playoffs. And then they went 5-10 in the second during the summer split, and I don't know. He tried to be versatile, but it just feels like he's kind of your standard mage player with a pretty decent Twisted Fate. That's about it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not super afraid of this guy, like, at all. I really think Kaido can take it to him. Here are the disadvantages, though, against Dignitas. Bot lane for sure. Listen, it's not anything against Tactical or Shinyi. I just think that Neo and Bio are already on a pretty good level in terms of clicking. I think that Bio knows how to take advantage of younger, newer players, and they looked very strong. And Neo was already kind of around the same level as Tactical in the past, and now he at a minimum has a bot laner that he can communicate in English with. They speak the same language fluently, completely, right? Tactical and Shinyi don't, and they're going to have to communicate with a lot less words and a lot less cohesion. Now, I'm sure they've been working on it like crazy. I don't doubt that whatsoever. But Biofrost and Neo have had the exact same time, if not more. Plus, they've had stage games together, multiple of them. I think came out to 7, 8, 9 games, something like that for them, for Dignitas. So, I'm sorry, please guys don't get mad at me, but because I do think that Tactical is better overall than Neo, and I think that Shinyi is probably better overall than Biofrost, but the lack of communication that is going to be there to start, especially, is going to be a weakness for us. Now, by midway through, or at the absolute minimum, I think start of summer, I think our bot lane will smack them 1-1. But for right now, it's a disadvantage. Second thing, again, team fighting. Listen, guys, there's just a couple very standard parts of our team that are not going to be great. Spica legitimately just straight up said, hey, we aren't going to do well team fighting. Our communication is just not there yet. It's going to get there, right? But it's just not there yet. So I just think that this team has played well together. I think generally speak the same language. I'm pretty sure River mostly knows English, and I'm pretty sure Blue does as well. So if nothing else, they've got the team fighting, which leads into experience together. Listen, preseasons are great for building trust, bonds, learning the different mannerisms and learning the different ways that people play together. And for right now, we're one of, 3 teams, basically, that have not played together at all on stage. And that is a disadvantage. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to admit it or not, that is the case. That being said, my prediction is that I think we beat Dignitas handily. I don't understand what everybody else is seeing with them. Yes, they upset 100 Thieves, and they looked solid in those games. I think 100 Thieves didn't play very well. I think they came out and had one of their worst days I've ever seen that team have, honestly. Sorry, but that's not enough to convince me that Dignitas is a great team. They barely even made it into the lock-in or into the next stage. And, well, frankly, I think that our team is just more talented than they are. And I think that at least what can happen is I think we pick winning solo lanes, and I think we allow Spica to play through them. And I think that we put, Tactical on somebody who can kind of survive on his own. Wouldn't surprise me to see him maybe even play like something like Ezreal, right? Where he can just sit back and press Q and, not have super interactive gameplay until later in the game. But that's fine. I think Shenyi will be roaming around with Tactical, and they will make plays. I think that Kaido will get, I'm predicting one solo kill against Blue right now. And as long as this team isn't frazzled from their loss with Evil Geniuses the day before, and they understand that this is still early on and that there's going to have to be some growing pains, then I think they can walk out of this week 1-1, which would be, in my opinion, a massive win. It'd be huge. And truly, when looking at this week, if we can somehow walk out of this 2-0, then Monday's show is going to be like pop the champagne, seriously, this team is brand new. Our expectations for them have to be tempered, and we're going to talk about that here in a second. But, week 1 is, I think, a good indicator, if nothing else, for us to just see where this team is at right now. I think this is going to be a base level area for this team. I think there's going to be, room for them to grow, obviously, and we're just going to have to be patient. I preached it last year. And that team had a bunch of veterans on it. This team has, 4 players who have played 2 years or less. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Every player on this team other than Huni is 21 years old or younger. They're one of the youngest teams in the LCS. They've got a brand new head coach who is coming over into a foreign land in a foreign region for not the first time in his career, but the first time I think in a truly English-speaking only area. And with a team that is completely mixed in terms of diversity and language, right? Huni knows Korean, Spica knows Mandarin, Kaido knows Mandarin, Shenyi knows Mandarin. I don't know what Tactical knows, but there's a lot of mixed language and a lot of mixed culture, a lot of just mixing together. The beautiful thing is that normally when it all mixes together, it turns out to be something beautiful, and I truly believe that that's where this team's going to go. So let's hop in here to our rankings and expectations. So listen, I still think that we're a top 5 team. My power rankings are going to come out later today, probably this afternoon, and I truly believe that this is probably at least the 5th best team in the LCS. I really do think that it's going to be somewhere in the range, and this is just in no particular order, honestly. I think you're going to have a tier of 100 Thieves, TL, and Evil Geniuses for a while. I think that the next tier is going to be, continue to be C9, TSM. And then I think it's going to be kind of everybody else. Immortals looked terrible. FlyQuest didn't look great either. They looked better, I think, but they weren't great. Golden Guardians is going to be one I'm still very, very interested to see what happens with them, with Pride and with Lost and with Ole. They're still going to have two very strong solo lanes for right now. So we'll see. Very intrigued. Very, very, very intrigued by them. But, for us, I still think that we have the talent to be a top team. We may not start off that way, guys. Jat has them 6th. By the way, and he, the way that he explained it was, they're just going to need time. Communication is what's going to hold them back. It's going to take time for these young Chinese guys to learn English to a point, to where they can communicate well with the team. It sounds like they're not doing Mandarin across the team. It sounds like they're going with English, which makes sense to me, but, luckily Spica is able to translate for maybe more complex situations. And listen, there's a lot of pressure on Spica with these communications, right? He's going to potentially have to make calls twice. Once in English and then once in Chinese, or in Mandarin, excuse me. It's very possible. He's going to have to do it quickly while still playing the game, while still being in the position that, of jungler where you have to, make a lot of split-second decisions, where you are generally the leader out there on the battlefield. And that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and it's going to take them time. So understand that. My minimum expectation, though, is that they need to make playoffs. There's just, while the LCS is better, and I'll talk about that more deeply, or dive into it here in a second, they should still be at least shooting for playoffs. Just get to the playoffs and then figure out the rest of it from there. They can be a top 3 team. I think 100 Thieves have shown that they are vulnerable. I think Evil Geniuses have shown that they're vulnerable. I still think TL has some vulnerabilities. Not a lot, but some. Right? I think C9 is going to have a lot of vulnerabilities. Golden Guardians, all of these teams have areas where they are vulnerable. I think our biggest area of vulnerability is just the unknown of Kaido. If Kaido comes in and absolutely just stomps in his games and just plays at an extremely high level, regardless of communication issues, then I think that this team absolutely can be a top 3, because I still think that the bot lane will eventually be a top 3 bot lane. I think Spica is a top 3 jungler. And I think that Huni, when at his best, can be a top 3 top laner. And at their worst, I think that they're maybe 4th, 5th, 6th to at least start the year. It's so hard to be sure about anything with this team right now. There's just such a range of possibilities. And I know everybody was like, crapping on me for, throwing out, these expectations of where they could finish and where they couldn't. I wasn't trying to cop out. I was being realistic. We just don't know enough. None of these teams have played together other than 100 Thieves. They were the only ones that I think I had between like 1st and 3rd. Right? Everybody else, yeah, there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be a lot of leeway for where they could go. The top of the top is that this TSM team could find a way, and Kaido ends up being, the surprise superstar, and Shenyi ends up being, able to pass Vulcan and maybe even Core JJ as the best support. Like, we don't know. We haven't seen them play yet. They could also end up being a complete dud. Tactical could really struggle without Core JJ, and Shenyi could, struggle without being on one of the top teams, right? Kaido could show that, maybe he was the one holding his team back in the LDL. Spica could get overwhelmed by, the amount of communication that he is going to have to, the amount of directing and everything that he's going to have to do. And Huni could regress to being a complete coin flip player. Right? And in that world, there's a chance we finish like 8th. I don't expect that. I think that is the least likely outcome. I think it's even less likely than us winning the LCS. But we have to temper our expectations. We have to understand that the LCS is better. It is the strongest year that we've probably ever had in the LCS. There are good teams everywhere. There are good players on nearly every single team. Guys, the Immortals team that went 0-4, if you had told me like 3 years ago, right, a team of Revenge at the level that he's at now, Xerxes, Power of Evil, Wild Turtle, and Destiny at the level that he is at now, I'd be like, oh wow, like in the past, that's a potentially a top 3 team, right? Like that's a really solid team. But guess what? Everybody else has leveled up around them. Those players have basically stayed the same. Xerxes still as exploitable as ever. Same with Power of Evil, and Wild Turtle is Wild Turtle. He's consistent, but he's not going to be that guy that can really carry a game for you. And, when you look at all the rest of these teams, like Dignitas, Neo, River, Biofrost, that's a solid core there. Golden Guardians, again, I think Licorice and Ablaze Olive are vastly underrated. Extremely underrated, guys. FlyQuest, we'll see. I think Johnson and Aframu could be one of the better bot lanes. Aframu seems to just really elevate the play of his AD carries. I think it's going to be really on, Takui and Jose Dioto to take the next step. If they do this, that team could, be stronger. TL's going to be what TL's going to be. They're going to be good. CLG, haven't mentioned them much in this podcast, but guess what? They played pretty well in the lock-in tournament. They've got some guys, man. Luger and Poom are pretty solid. I don't know about Jenkins in the top lane. Palafox looked okay. Contracts looked okay. But Luger and Poom, man, they're gonna challenge you. Evil Geniuses are gonna be great, guys. 100 Thieves are gonna be great. Cloud9, whenever they finally figure out what their roster is gonna look like, whether it's rotating players consistently or settling on a 5 with LS here and everything else, as long as they don't implode internally, they're going to be good. There's a lot of talent in the LCS, a lot of young talent, and there's talent pushing, from the level below. You still have Kenvi down there. You got Will, Bradley, Array, Wixie. All these great young players that are ready to go. And the LCS it's leveling up. We're not there yet. But I do believe that this will be the year with the most surprises. This will be the year with the most interesting games. It's going to be very rare that I think we're going to sit down and we're going to say, yeah, this team sucks. They're going to lose every game. I don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, there will be teams that I think that'll finish with like 4 and 5 wins, but I think that's just going to be more because, they're not there yet. They're losing the coin flip, games. And there will be bottom teams that will beat top teams. There will be the Dignitases that beat the 100 Thieves. It's an exciting year for the LCS. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of young NA talent. There's a lot of just great talent coming from all these different regions that are young. We're not grabbing the old scraps. We've got Inspired, MVP of the LEC, who's like 20 years old, 19 or 20 years old coming over. You've got Kaido and Shinyi. You got Berserker coming over from T1. You've got Jojo Pyun and Danny coming up. You've got Neo finally finding his footing. You've got a Blaze Olive finding his footing in the LCS. Again, Luger. You've got Tenacity, who will maybe eventually take over the spot for someday. The best top lane, NA talent that's come since Pry Hanser. No, Licorice. Sorry, Licorice. My point is, as TSM fans, we have to temper our expectations for now. Just enjoy this young, exciting, energetic team. And just give them a chance. Don't go, the world is ending if they start 0-4. Don't go crazy if they get absolutely manhandled by Dignitas. Just know that this team needs time, and that if we give them that and we give them our support and we show them that, hey, we're here for the long haul. We're not here for the short haul. These LCS teams, they get it, guys. When you only play for the short term, it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. Every one of these teams are building out farm systems. They are building out different ways to train. They are committing to players for 3 and 4 years at a time now. This league is maturing and it's getting better. And as LCS fans, as TSM fans, we have to do the same thing. Let's just enjoy this. Let's find our next talent, and let's go freaking win some games, man. I'm excited. I am pumped to see TSM go out and play, regardless of what happens. And I know I might be saying a little bit of a different tune on Monday. I might be a little disappointed, especially if they go 0-2. But as long as I can see things that give me hope for the future, as long as I can see Kaido maybe get a solo kill or be up 15 CS at some point, without much help. As long as I can see Shenyi make a couple of pretty awesome, engaging plays. Huni showing that he's no longer that coin flip. Spica showing that he can direct like the maestro of an orchestra for this team. Then I think we're going to be okay. Oh, and I'm excited for Chawi, too. I'm so sorry, Chawi. It's just, you're the coach, man. I'm sure you're going to do great. A lot of people are very excited for him. And the more and more I read about him, I'm like, okay, this guy might be great. And I know Dominic Callis. He's going to be watching. And I expect him to be, supporting the team and tweeting about the team and, I don't know, doing all that jazz. So, that was an episode, guys. I'm really excited. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I really do believe in our team, and I really do believe that we have the chance to be great. We just got to let it happen. All right. If you like this show, please take a second to like, subscribe, and comment on our YouTube channel. We've got great interviews with great players coming out weekly. Now, because of some family things, I'm not going to be able to do interviews this week. I will be able to hopefully do some next Saturday. My goal, by the way, is to have, full interviews from TSM, hopefully once a week, should they approve of me. Whether it's the Academy team or the LCS team. I know Dominic has said that they're going to be a lot more open to interviews. It seems like that is absolutely the case. I'm going to do my best to get, Huni, Spica, Tactical, Chawi, Kaido, Shinyi, at least once throughout the year is going to be my goal. And when I do, they will be on this show. They'll also have their own interviews over at the Game House. Now, there's going to be some chances that my boy Mike is also going to be doing it. Please go check out his interviews. He is absolutely nailing them right now, and he's gotten one with Bjergsen. First TGH interview with Bjergsen. If you want to go check that out, it's up there right now. He talked to Santorin as well, Ayla. Excuse me. Trying to remember who else off the top of my head. Can't really, but I know he's been getting a ton. Oh, Han Sama as well. So, there's a lot of great interviews for those of you who are just LCS fans and want to just know what some of these other teams are doing as well. So go do that. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss another episode as well. Let's continue to make this the number one TSM podcast on all podcasting platforms. Leave a review if you feel so inclined. If this is your first time listening, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the season because we're going to have a lot of fun stuff coming out. Please share this with your friends. You can find me on Twitter at TGH Robert Haynes. You can also follow the Game House at TGH Esports. Lastly, head to thegamehouse.com. We're going to have content out the wazoo for the LCS and TSM and everything else. So please go give us a look. With that, thank you for tuning in. This show comes out every Monday and Thursday now that it is the regular season, and it is still exclusively for your TSM earholes. I'm Robert Haynes, and this has been Talking TSM. Let's go, TSM, and I will see you all on Monday.